Alright, at this center, what you're going to be looking at is you're going to have several cards, and they're going to look, some are going to look like this, some may look more like a star question. But what you're going to be doing is you're going to need to define whether or not the scatter plot is linear or nonlinear, and then whether it's positive, negative, or no association. So notice that there's going to be some dry erase markers out. You can use those to draw your line so that to help you determine what it is. And the best way to handle this is, what I would do is, you want to draw your line where it cuts through the data, where some data lies on top of the line and some lies below. And that'll help you determine whether or not it's linear and what the association is. So I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to draw a line that cuts through my data. Notice some of my data points are below the line, and then I have a few on top or right at the top of it. Now, because all of these points lie really close to the line, then we can say that it is linear. And then what you need to do is we need to look and see, as we move from left to right across the graph, would we walk up or would we be walking down? If we're walking up as we move from left to right, then it is a positive association. If we were to be walking down, it is a negative association. The other thing is, when we talk about positive association, it means that as x increases, the y values increase and go up. And that's what you can see right here. If we're talking about a negative association, as x increases, the y value will decrease. And no association means that these dots do not lie close to a line. They're just scattered all over the graph. So in this case, what we have is a positive linear association. Notice in this example right here, it doesn't matter where I draw my line. I could draw it cutting up this way, or draw it cutting through this way, and the points would be roughly about the same distance away from the line. And they're not near it. They're close from it. They're scattered out. And when you have one that has this real random pattern, this is where we would have no association. On the other hand, on this example here, we can go ahead and draw our line and see how it cuts through the data. And if you notice, all these points pretty much lay on that line or really close to it. And so therefore, in this case, from left to right, we would be walking downhill. So we know that that slope is negative. And we notice that as x increases, the y value steadily decreases along with it. So this would be a negative linear association. So now looking at a more challenging problem, I want you to see how this one is. If we were to draw a straight line through this to kind of cut through the middle of the data, well, if we're trying to cut through the middle of the data, we would have to curve our line and come around. And if you have to curve the line, if it has a curve in it, then we would say this is non-linear. But do notice that as x increases, the y values do begin to increase, especially right about here. They start jumping up really fast. And when you have this big curve in the data, but as x increases, y increases, then you would say that this is a positive nonlinear association.